Hey, here's a scary thought. When you're serving others, you may be doing more harm than good. If it's true that autism is a culture or that disability is a culture, then just because we say that we're serving other people doesn't mean that they feel served. Click on this link below to see the original video to discover 4 ways that you may be doing more harm than good when serving others in the special needs community. You know, in special needs ministry or in missional special needs ministry, it may be important that we start to take a closer look at this idea of cross-cultural serving. And by watching this video today, you'll receive 4 benefits. 1, you'll learn what the first step is in the cross-cultural serving process, which is openness. 2, you'll understand how cultural differences can actually close you off to being a person of openness. 3, you'll learn the definition of openness. And 4, you'll learn the 2 most important skills that you can use to being open. In Luke 15:2, we see people becoming upset with Jesus because he's eating with tax collectors, people who were considered marginalized and outcast. And in those days, to eat with someone was a symbol of fellowship. And Jesus shows up to introduce us to a new approach, a new idea. And that is, instead of keeping people who are marginalized and outcast at arm's length, he welcomed them. He was open to their presence. And the cross may be the greatest symbol of openness that we've ever seen, because on the cross, Jesus' arms were wide open. And that's why openness is the first step in the process of cross-cultural serving. You know, a while back I finished reading Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, and in that he did a study of American people to find out how long it took them to make judgments about other people and their potential for relationships. So let me ask you this. How long would it take you to make a decision between you and I whether I had the potential to be someone that you would be interested in entering into a relationship with, to being open enough to do that? A minute? 5 minutes? Longer? Well, the surprising fact from the research was this. On the average, it takes people 2.4 to 4.6 seconds to look at somebody and to decide whether they think that person is worthy of a relationship with them. That tendency is even more magnified when we enter into a situation in which there is a person from another culture. When that person looks different than we do, when their environment is different than ours, when they have a language that's different than ours or no language at all, or when they do things that are confusing to us, that makes that process of deciding that they're not worthy happen even more quickly. Does that sound familiar? Because it's not uncommon for people with special needs or who are differently abled to look different than we do, come from environments that are different than ours, their language may differ than ours, and it's possible that they do things that confuse us. And that's how cultural differences prohibit us from being more open than we should be. Let me give you a definition of openness that will help you to be better at being open to people who are different than you. The definition of openness is this: the ability to make other people feel welcome and safe in your presence. Openness is the ability to make other people feel welcome and safe in your presence. Notice that it's an ability. It's something that you can learn. If you don't have the skill, you can learn it. If you already know how to do it, you can do it even better. The important thing is to keep that definition in the conscious portion of your mind, especially as you're interacting with other people. Really important when you're interacting with people that you perceive as being different. So the first skill necessary in maintaining an attitude of openness towards those who are different is to suspend judgment. John 7:24, stop judging by mere appearance and make a right judgment. Hey, God's word. I didn't say it. God did. It's critical that we work on suspending judgment. Why? Because it's unnatural for us and it tends to take time, and that's why it's such a critical skill. Now, something to consider is this: when you're interacting with someone who is from a different culture or who appears to be different than you, is simply recognize the fact when you're making negative judgments and just stop it. just put it to a stop. Tell yourself that you need to suspend judgment and let it go. Now, another thing to ask yourself is, are the behaviors that I'm seeing from the other person a clear violation of Scripture, or would it be something that God would just label as being different? Suspending judgment is the first skill necessary in staying open to other people. The second important skill is making positive attributions. Remember, we have a tendency to make negative attributions about people who are more unlike us than like us. And negative attributions force us into a situation where we start thinking the worst about a person. And so you have to counteract that by consciously making positive attributions about the other person. That's what makes this such a critical skill, because it helps you to be a person where other people will feel welcome and safe in your presence. And remember, Scripture says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. Positive attributions. So here's my action step for you today. Memorize the definition of openness, the ability to make others feel welcome and safe in your presence. Memorize it, keep it in the conscious portion of your brain as you get out and interact with other people, especially those who are different. Use that definition to your advantage. Suspend making judgments. Use positive attributions. Listen, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the section below. Stay tuned for the second video of the cross-cultural serving process, which will be on acceptance. And while you're at it, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel.